Hey guys, what's up? T-Boner here. Today, actually just now, like literally 5 minutes ago, the Bungie weekly update was released, and it's a big one. It's a very exciting one. This one deals with weapon tuning, something I personally have been waiting for PvP, and I know the Destiny community has been hot for the past several weeks, months, since Thorn has taken over the meta. Last words, just absolutely, completely ridiculous weapons, two-shotting you, melting you, just absolutely nonsense. So, Bungie has finally released their plans for the next weapon tuning update. And I'm just going to read through it for you guys, and I'm really excited about this. I've proofread a little bit of it for myself, but here we go. Auto rifles. Goals. Auto rifle is optimal at close to medium range. Damage, stability, and range are tuned such that players desire stability for reliable close quarters damage, or range for better accuracy and increased damage at a distance. Elevate auto rifles so that they are a more competitive option in PvP, and simultaneously more satisfying to use in PvE. The changes. Increase base damage. Start damage falloff closer to the player to emphasize its role as a close to medium range weapon. Small reduction in base stability. Landing shots at optimal range is ineffective, but repeated precision hits require more weapon control to land consistently. Boost damage by 10% against AI combatants. So this obviously means base damage is going to be brought up, so it's going to be more effective in both PvP and PvE. They're boosting damage again by 10% in PvE, so you can now use it in your raids. You can go back to using your auto rifles in strikes and all that stuff. But damage fall off is going to be like very, very consistent now. One of the things they mentioned is that they can now even more closely edit damage fall off and range stats so that you can tell the damage falling off very, very accurately. So the example they gave was a auto rifle may do 19 damage at 10 meters, but then drop off to 15 damage at 8 meters. That's how accurate this thing is. Like, it's going to be really, really solid and just smooth damage drop off. So it's going to become, auto rifles are going to become less and less effective at higher ranges. But they are buffing the damage, so they'll be more competitive at the ranges that they're intended to be competitive at. Pulse rifles are strong right now in PvP. We want to maintain that feeling of raw power, but introduce some subtlety into the firing mechanics of the weapon. Base damage for the mid-speed rate of fire is now tuned so that the victim's armor stat is the deciding factor in time to kill. Base stability of all pulse rifles has been dropped very slightly so that landing shots is still intuitive, but consistent precision hits will take more skill. Magazine sizes have been increased across the board to make them more efficient in PvE activities. So this is pretty interesting. Let's look at the goals here. Pulse rifle is optimal at medium range, but can still effectively engage enemies at close or medium-long range. Rate of fire sets a pace for players to track moving targets and then deliver precision damage in bursts. Pulse rifles should feel strong in PvP, but don't become the only competitive option. Additionally, increase their efficiency as a PvE weapon. The actual changes. Reduce base damage of the medium rate of fire by about 2.5%. Basically, it says in an underlying thing, PvP burst to kill all precision hits is 2 or 3, depending on victim's armor stat. Small reduction in base stability. A burst should still land all shots at optimal range, but 3 precision hits will require more weapon control to land consistently. Increase magazine size on for all base inventory stats. So that's pretty interesting that they're further tuning pulse rifles. In my opinion, they were pretty much perfect where they were. But now they're making them a little bit more effective in PvE, and they're making them actually a little bit less effective in PvP, although I'm super happy about the increased magazine size announcement. I really think that was a needed thing. I always find myself running out of ammo with pulse rifles before I finish a kill in both PvE and PvP, so that should be pretty cool that they're doing that. But let's move on to scout rifles. I'm actually pretty excited to see what they're going to do with scout rifles. Scout rifles are currently orbiting their sweet spot pretty nicely. we made a few changes to solidify the role as the optimal long-range primary choice and help create a delta between the hand cannon archetype. Goals for scout rifles. Scout rifles are the best primary weapon for long-range engagements. They perform the best when landing paced precision shots, and rate of fire and optics are tuned so that scout rifles are a little harder to use effectively close in. The actual changes that they're making: increase base damage for medium to high rate of fire scout rifles. PvP does not affect time to kill in PvP on a guardian with full health. Increase magazine size for all base inventory stats. Reduce final accuracy when firing from the hip. Fast firing outside of aim down sights will be less accurate. Boost damage by 5% against AI combatants. So they're buffing it further in PvE, which, I mean, 5% isn't too much, but I still don't think that was really necessary. Scout rifles are pretty much right now the second chosen weapon type over hand cannons, or next to hand cannons as PvE weapons. You know, Vision of Confluence, Fang of Your Ute, all those weapons are very highly used weapons in Prison of Elders, in raids, all that stuff. So it's interesting that they're buffing them more in PvE, and they're buffing them a little bit in PvP, but it's not really going to change the time to kill against a fully health Guardian. It will enable you, it is going to do more damage overall, but it's not going to change the shots to kill. Like, for instance, Vision of Confluence right now is a 4-shot kill with 2 headshots in PvP, I think. And so with 1 headshot and then 3 body shots, it leaves the player with like 20 health or something. It'll probably leave them with like 5 health now. So if you're fighting a player that's even slightly damaged, you'll kill them faster with a scout rifle. So that's interesting to know. Although I don't think it'll really affect how scout rifles are used in PvP too much. The main problem with scout rifle usage is the map size. Moving on to hand cannons. During the last set of changes, we made a very small adjustment to the initial accuracy, range, and damage falloff, looking to curb the long-range effectiveness of hand cannons. However, anyone who has been cross-map zapped by Thorn or Hawkmoon knows this is still very possible, so we pushed this a little bit further. Landing a long-range shot now requires slow, careful aim, and a hit at that distance won't deliver the weapon's full damage potential. In PvE, the role of a hand cannon is very close to the role of a scout rifle. Hand cannons do slightly more base damage, scouts have slightly more ammo in the mag, but otherwise their functions overlap a great deal. To help separate these two, we made the range changes noted above, but also reduced magazine size on hand cannons, while simultaneously increasing the mag size on scouts. This should help push these two weapons apart and make the player choice more interesting. Hand cannons do more damage up close, but with fewer rounds. Scouts with greater range and magazine size, but slightly less damage per bullet. Goals. Hand cannons are optimal at close to medium range. Hand cannons are optimal when shots are paced, but become less effective when fired quickly. Rewards agility under fire, precision targeting, and snap shots. Hand cannons cannot reliably complete Hand cannons cannot reliably compete with scout rifles at long range. Changes. Start damage fall off closer to the player to limit long range lethality. Small reduction in aim down sights accuracy targeted at making long range snap shooting less reliable. Reduce final accuracy when firing from the hip. Reduce magazine size for all base inventory stats. Reduce base optics for all hand cannons, as in the zoom that the optics provide on hand cannons. So you'll be less zoomed in now, and so it's not as much like a scout rifle scope as it is just a regular sight for a hand cannon, further making it more of a medium close range weapon. So far, I'm pretty excited about these changes. Let's move on to shotguns. The shotgun changes in 1.1.1 hit range pretty hard. For almost all of the shotguns available to players, this felt really good in our playtests. Occasionally, a long-range shotgun with the right perks on it would show up and push the intended limits, but they were few and far between. Until Lord Saladin started using selling Felwinter's Lie. The availability of a powerful long-range shotgun that could be reforged until the perfect perk arrangement showed up made this combination very prevalent. In House of Wolves, we continued to allow reforging on other ranged shotguns. Soon after, what we thought would be exciting edge cases in our weapon population became the new normal. Rather than hit that range stat again, we are directly targeting the shotgun perks that push out shotgun lethality distance, shot package, and rangefinder. The PvE boost to shotguns in 1.1.1 was significant, and since we've seen groups of Guardians gang up with their boomsticks and trivially roll through some pretty tough PvE encounters, the reward of gut blasting a hulking enemy is super sweet, but that close quarters action could benefit from a slight reduction in outgoing damage. Goals. Shotgun is most effective at very close range. Complements melee attacks and other close quarters class builds. Offensively closing on an enemy with a shotgun is a risk-reward timing game. Curb shotgun effectiveness in PvE slightly to reintroduce some risk when closing on a powerful enemy. Changes. Shotgun perks that enhance lethality at range should be less effective when combined with a high initial range stat. Reduce shot package accuracy buff by 30%. Rangefinder adds a 5% base range increase on aim down sights, where it originally was 20%. Reduce precision damage multiplier on shotguns by 10%, and reduce damage against AI combatants by 10%. So overall, I think these are very, very good changes. Definitely the range on shotguns absolutely needs to be addressed. All shotguns in general. So I don't know how this is going to work out, to be honest. I saw the shotgun supposed nerf in the last patch, and I was like, there's no way that's going to be anywhere near enough to put shotguns where they need to be. And this is a lot closer to where they should be, but I still don't think it's going to be enough. I still think shotguns are still going to kind of map you a little bit more than they should, even with these nerfs. And like it says, it's just to these perks. Like, you're not really affecting the range all that much. You're not affecting the base stats of the shotgun. You're affecting these so-called perfect, roll perks on shotguns. So I'm excited to see more variety on shotguns instead of just people saying, oh, I need shock package and knee pads on my shotgun or else it's not worth it. But at the same time, I don't think that's going to be enough. I still think the shotgun's base range is too much at this point. So we'll have to see how that works out. Fusion rifles. When we hit fusion rifle accuracy in the last update, we saw a lot of players move to shotguns as their close range weapon of choice. That's an understatement. For this update, we have preserved our original intent to reduce overall range, but have scaled back the nerf on close range fusion rifles to help them contend with shotguns in close quarters. Goals. Fusion rifles are optimal at mid-range, where targets are easier to track but they're not close enough to attack while charging up. Requires combat foresight and the ability to predict a target's movement to use successfully. It should not be easy to find and build a fusion rifle that can achieve maximum range. Changes. Slow charging, high-impact fusion rifles have a decreased range values. Makes it more difficult to max out range for these weapons. Projectile speed for fusion rifles is slightly reduced, emphasizes the need to lead targets outside medium range. Improve accuracy for short-range fusion rifles and reduce accuracy for long-range fusion rifles. These are interesting changes. Like I said, we're going to have to see how the shotgun nerf works out. I don't think it's going to be enough. We should start seeing fusion rifles a little more. Hopefully they return the Vex Mythoclast to its former glory. Well, not its original glory, because that was just ridiculous, but to where it is now, whenever I use it, at least on Xbox 360, maybe it's because of Xbox 360 servers, connections, all that stuff, but it feels like sometimes I'm not doing damage when I should be doing damage with the Vex Mythoclast. So hopefully they address that, because that is technically a fusion rifle, even though it fits in your primary slot and it's fully automatic. Me personally, I'm not too excited to see more fusion rifles on the playing field again. I mean, shotguns are overpowered, but fusion rifles are still right behind them, even in the current meta, in my personal opinion. They can still just cross-map zap you, and in my opinion, special ammo is still a little bit of a problem. I mean, people say it's rare, but at the same time, you still see people only running around with shotguns and fusion rifles, and that just should not happen in PvP. It just should not happen. It should be a rare thing, almost to the point that heavy ammo is a rare thing. Not quite that much, but I just really wish they would reduce special ammo overall further. But for now, I suppose these will have to do. Sniper rifles are playing into their intended role right now, and we don't feel the need to change their base behavior. However, one piece of feedback that the community has been very vocal about is the effect of the final round perk when compared with a high impact sniper rifle. Let's skip the last paragraph here. Goals. Sniper rifles are optimal at long range and difficult to use for medium to short range combat. Sniper rifles reward thumb skill with high damage against precision targets. The final round perk on sniper rifles should still require precision shots. Changes. Final round on sniper rifles buffs precision damage only, not base damage. This change only affects this perk when combined with sniper rifles. Interesting thing they did here. So that means no more one-shot kill Aphrodite spears, no more one-shot kill anything. Final round sniper. Do I like this change? To be honest, I don't really care about it all that much. It seems like what they're doing is they're only making final round useful in PvE. So I don't know how I feel about that. Like it's practically a wasted perk now because I have it on my Aphrodite spear and I try not to be an asshole with it. But I mean, at the same time, I want the perk to do its job. And for my Aphrodite spear to now be reduced to, pretty much a PvE sniper is a little bit disappointing for me. I'm not going to say this change wasn't warranted. Final round, I mean, one-shot kill snipers are annoying, and they were cause for abuse. They were very widely abused by a lot of people, by a lot of PvP players. So I'm glad to see this change implemented, but I wish something else could be done to change that. I really wish something else could be done, because now, as I said, sniper rifles, final round only increases damage on precision hits. So a sniper rifle is a one-hit kill to the head. Every sniper rifle is a one-hit kill to the head in PvP. So final round virtually does nothing in PvP. It only does stuff in PvE now. So that's a pretty interesting change to me. I'm not sure how I feel about that as a whole, but I'm glad to see final round removed from PvP in one sense. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. It's just doesn't really make sense to me that they would completely destroy a perk's effectiveness in PvP like they have with several perks in the past.